Hello and welcome to this Nuffield Research Placement student webinar. This webinar series has been designed to complement your research placement by sharing real stories from STEM professionals and ambassadors. Over the course of this webinar series, our range of speakers will provide expert advice and guidance on future career opportunities and pathways that are open to you as a STEM student. By sharing bite-sized insights into the varied world of STEM careers, we hope that you will come away understanding more about the exciting ways in which you can apply your STEM education. Each webinar in this series features approximately 15 minutes of presentation from our guest speaker, followed by a question and answer session. In this webinar, we're going to hear from Chloe Etchells. Chloe Etchells is a support officer at the Environment Agency, and she's going to speak to you about her experience as an apprentice and why you might want to consider it yourself as a route into further education or work. With that said, I'd like to welcome and hand over to Chloe.
Hello and welcome to Exploring Apprenticeships, a first-hand account of what it's like to be an apprentice. I'm Chloe, a support officer at the Environment Agency, and I'll be talking you through my experience. So a little bit about this webinar and what it's going to look like. I'm going to talk you through a little bit about me, my journey and my apprenticeship, a little bit about how apprenticeships work, the benefits and endless opportunities that there are, a little bit about if they're for you, and we will finish the webinar with some questions and answers. So to just jump straight in, a little bit about me. I have recently graduated and I have a bachelor's degree in zoology. I work in the Research Hub, which is part of the Chief Scientist Group in the Environment and Business Department of the Environment Agency. Now, I know that is a mouthful, so to put it brief, the Environment Agency is a large organisation and I am tucked away in a little corner and I work with a bunch of amazing researchers and their wonderful research. So in terms of my role, I provide support for outreach and academic engagement. I do a little bit of research editing and publishing on the government website. I engage with universities. I also support the coordination of our Nuffield and STEM learning research placements, which is yourselves. And the most important part is that I am currently undertaking a level 3 apprenticeship in business and administration. So a little bit of a look at my journey then. I started pretty much where you guys are now. My journey was certainly not linear. I thought A-levels, university, job, but that was not the case and I wouldn't want it to be either because I really enjoyed my journey. I did English, psychology and biology when I did my A-levels, and it got to my second year and I was thinking, this isn't really for me. I wanted to be a zoologist. And the studies I took weren't really giving me sort of the knowledge that I felt that I needed to fulfill my career in that. Everything was very human-based, and a friend recommended a level 3 BTEC to me, which I previously had not considered. So a level 3 BTEC, if you don't know, is equivalent to 3 A-levels. So it's very similar, but instead of exams, most things are coursework-based, which was fantastic for me because I have exam anxiety, which I'm sure many of you probably do too. So this BTEC was in animal management and I got to learn a lot about animals, the environment, conservation, and I also was a volunteer zookeeper alongside this as part of a placement, and that was a fantastic opportunity because I got to meet with the public, I got to work with the animals and some really, really inspiring people. So after my BTEC then, I went to university to study zoology and yeah, that was fantastic. I gained a lot of independence there and I'm very proud of that journey. But it came towards the end of my university time and I was thinking job, I need a job, and it wasn't as easy as I think I initially expected. I had a friend who had graduated previously and they said, oh, you should consider universal credit. If you don't know, it's this benefit that you receive if you are unemployed, but you also receive a work coach who is usually brilliant in my case especially. And at the time there was these Kickstart placements. Now these were for people who were under 25 and they were looking for work, and it's a little bit like work experience. So it was a 6-month placement in a job role. And I was fortunate enough to be offered a few of these and I picked the one at the Environment Agency. I picked that one because they were really friendly. It was offering a little bit more money than some of the others, which I think made me feel like my work was a little bit more valued. And it was in an area I really wanted to make a change. with zoology and conservation, that was sort of my big thing. I wanted a purpose in life, and that was just an amazing sort of into that career. So after my 6-month placement with the Environment Agency, I wasn't really ready to leave, and really fortunately for me, my team had an opening, and that opening was an apprenticeship for business and administration. Now, that was a little bit daunting because all of my past qualifications were sort of animal and conservation based. I had not done anything business related, but I thought this was an opportunity for me to actually get the skills that I need to do this job. And business and administration is so transferable. There is business in absolutely everything. So I thought this was a really good opportunity to stay in my team, to do my work and the things that make me feel happy. And I also get a qualification out of it. So bonus. So a little bit of a look at my apprenticeship then. My apprenticeship is a level 3 apprenticeship. It's equivalent to 2 or 3 A-levels, and I am paid. I am paid the same as my colleagues because I was fortunate enough to be in my organisation previously, but the pay can vary very differently from apprenticeship to apprenticeship. I had a little look earlier and I did see sort of £10,000 worth of difference, so it is worth considering your finances and sort of what apprenticeship you want and how much you are willing to sort of have when you look for an apprenticeship. My apprenticeship is an 18-month course and my job is a 22-month contract, which fortunately for me means that there's a little bit at the start of my apprenticeship so I can settle into the role and a little bit afterwards of my apprenticeship so I can just relax. So yeah, that's fantastic for me. My apprenticeship is online, which another bonus for me because I love working online. I love home working. I love to be really flexible. But with other apprenticeships, you may be able to change this depending on your course provider. So there are colleges and things if you prefer that sort of in-person contact. So my apprenticeship is paid for by the Environment Agency, and this will depend on sort of the organisation where you want to work for. They are likely to pay for your apprenticeship, and there may be some government funding there too, which is a bonus. And yeah, my apprenticeship is completely different to anything that I have ever done before. And I like that because it means that I have that sort of extra skill that I can put on my CV or show at an interview. Yeah, big bonus there. And it allows me to gain experience. And I think the most important part there is that I can sort of progress higher in my role. Or as my current job isn't permanent, it means that I can get a permanent job in the future. Another huge part of my apprenticeship is that I have access to internal jobs. Many large organisations have some internal roles that they don't share online. And if you have an apprenticeship with an organisation, this means that you have access to that. So it's a huge win. So how do apprenticeships work and why should you do one? Well, apprenticeships are for everyone and they do give you the additional skills that you need for a role. And so putting it quite simply, they work similarly to how your job works if you had a little bit of college on the side. So you have taught sessions where you are either in a classroom or in sort of like a virtual seminar type thing, and you will have classmates and you will have a tutor and you will have a classroom experience where you learn something that's relevant to your job and your apprenticeship. On the job, you're actually expected to use 20 to 25% of your time for study or apprenticeship-related activities. This may involve sending an email that's relevant to your apprenticeship, reflection, having a talk with your line manager about any of the coursework or related activities, things like that. And with the on-the-job experience, I think that's vital because you have that education aspect. It's like, going to college or university and doing your apprenticeship, but that on-the-job experience is completely vital to understanding a little bit more about what you're learning. You get to put your skills into practice. And then with the assessment, now I said before that I have huge exam anxiety, and the thing I love most about my apprenticeship is that it's all sort of coursework based. So we have little tasks that we're set and we are building a portfolio, and then at the very end we will have an endpoint assessment. So this is different for all apprenticeships, but for mine there is a presentation at the end where I sort of show the work that I've been doing throughout the year, and a little bit about my portfolio to show that I've done it. I can prove that I have done business administration and that I am in deserving of the qualification. So the benefits. There are so many benefits. I could talk for hours about the benefits of an apprenticeship. One of the big things that I found is the support. So often with an apprenticeship, maybe you are going into a new role or you are progressing in your career to something you're not really familiar with. Or maybe you're just changing career and you're doing something completely new. And that support is absolutely vital. So for me, I already have an incredibly supportive team that I work for, so I was comfortable. I have an amazing line manager, an amazing team, and then I do this apprenticeship and I have a tutor and classmates, and there is just so much support from all directions. I feel really sort of happy with where everything is going, and if there's any problems, I have so many people that I can reach out to for help. And that's a huge bonus if you are a bit of a worrier when you sort of enter a new role. Qualification, yes, I am a bit of a qualification hoarder. I love qualifications because it just shows that you're diversifying your skills portfolio. And with an apprenticeship, you do get a piece of paper at the end to say you've done this. And you can, put that on your LinkedIn, put it on your CV, and show future employers that you have actually done the work and you know how to do whatever it is that your apprenticeship is. Experience is a big one. You need experience for whatever career it is that you are going into. An apprenticeship offers you that at quite an accessible sort of rate. You are able to go into a job and gain that experience and learn while you are there. You gain experience that maybe your apprenticeship doesn't include. So whether it's writing an email or public speaking skills or chairing a meeting, there's just so much there that you gain in addition to that education. Knowledge, then, I always say knowledge is power. One of the huge benefits of an apprenticeship is that you gain the knowledge of not only the organisation you're working for and the skills that you use within there, you also gain the knowledge of everything you're doing within your apprenticeship, and that automatically makes you feel more confident. And that confidence is going to give you the boost that you need to apply for all of those higher jobs with higher wages, or maybe things that you didn't think that you could do before that now you can. So knowledge is a huge thing, and it will help you in your career and make you feel confident and help you apply for those jobs that you really want. So endless opportunities. Now, I actually didn't even realize that there were this many types of apprenticeships. When I looked into it, there are over 600 different apprenticeships to choose from, and there are a wide range of subjects, loads of levels. There is something for everyone. So my apprenticeship is a level 3 apprenticeship, which is the equivalent to 2 to 3 A-levels. And I have a university degree, which would be a level 6 degree. I think that there is something for everyone here. So if you are graduating from college and maybe you want to do something university, similar to university, but you want that job experience as well, maybe a level 6 or level 5 would suit you. One of the big things that I did want to mention here is that it is not a case of I've done A-levels or a BTEC and now I need to do a level 4, level 5, level 6, because that's higher. Consider it as diversifying your sort of portfolio of skills. So I have a degree and I have done now a level 3 apprenticeship, and it's not a case of sort of going backwards. It's a case of building on what you already have. You can get so many different skills from an apprenticeship. There are so many different types. There's things like construction, veterinary, management, all sorts of things. So if you want a new skill, an apprenticeship is the way to go to get one. And finally, sort of, what about you then? I'm going to take the assumption that you're over 16 and perhaps looking for experience in a subject. Maybe it's for your career journey. Maybe it's just something that you want to do for now and you don't know what you want to do later, and that is okay. An apprenticeship, it sort of helps you find if you want to know or want to go into that career. So you have that experience in that job and you can decide if you want that later or not. You can find apprenticeships in all sorts of roles, as I said before, accounting, absolutely anything. And there are different levels. So if you wanted to do something that's more assistant level or you want to go up to manager level, there is things to suit everybody. And it is not age limited. So there are people on my course that are similar ages to me. There are people on my course that are 10, 20 years older than me. There is no limitation for an apprenticeship. It can be at any point in your career, and it doesn't just have to be one. You don't have to just go and do one apprenticeship. You can do one after the other if that's what you want to do in your career progression, and you learn so much from it. So I've also put some links here for you to find out a little bit more about apprenticeships. So we have the gov.uk Apprenticeship Finder, the National Apprenticeship Service and the UCAS Career Finder, and the National Career Service, which gives you a bit of an outline of apprenticeships and some stories. So most of these are tools where you can have a look and you can search for an apprenticeship that you'd like to do. The early careers at the Environment Agency is the jobs for the Environment Agency, and internships are apprenticeships, things like that. My personal favourite is the National Apprenticeship Service. If you are looking for an apprenticeship, this is a really, really handy tool. You put in your postcode and you put in sort of the type of job that you're interested in doing and the type of apprenticeship that you'd like. It has a little map. It tells you the progression routes and a little bit more about the apprenticeship. So definitely have a look at that one if you are interested. Now, I think we are going to ask Josh to come back in for questions, if that's okay.
Thank you very much, Chloe. That was a really great presentation, not only on your role as an apprentice, but also what apprenticeships are more generally as well. I'm sure it will really help our students. I do have a few questions for you on the topic of where you can find apprenticeships, as you've just covered. Is that tool that you've just shared the only source, or is it also worth looking elsewhere for apprenticeships too?
Yeah, so as you can see here, I've put the early careers at the Environment Agency because we have our own jobs board where we put our apprenticeships. And I know for a lot of organisations, they have their own jobs board, especially with things like maybe games development. I know they tend to host their jobs internally on their websites. So if there's a specific organisation that you know that you want to work for, definitely check their careers websites and see if there's an apprenticeship for you there. Alternatively, do look at these finder tools because there is so many, and I think the apprenticeship that I'm doing now, business and administration, it's so relevant to so many different types of organizations that you might find something in the organization or sort of industry that you want to do, whether that's environment or technology or physics or anything really.
Great, perfect, thank you. So once they've found an apprenticeship that they think they want, what sort of experience and skills might they need?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think with the level 2 and level 3, I think they're sort of early career journeys, or if you're sort of dipping your toes into sort of a new career. And for me, I needed a grade C, or I think that translates to a grade 4 in maths and English. If you do not have that, then while you're taking your apprenticeship, you will also be doing functional skills in English and maths. So it's not really a requirement, but it's sort of an additional thing that you might end up doing. For the higher degrees, you may need a little bit more experience just to show that you have that baseline knowledge. But every apprenticeship will have different requirements, so it's definitely worth having a look and seeing the requirements for them.
Perfect, thank you. And then finally, a bit of a different one here. What is the best piece of advice you've received so far in your career, and how has it helped you get to where you are?
Okay, well, I'll give you two. I'll give you one from my mom and one from me because they really stuck with me. So I think when I was applying for jobs, I kept looking at jobs and I kept thinking, I can't do that. I don't have that skill. And I just kept being told, apply for it, apply for anything. Even if you don't have the experience, if you want that job, apply for it. And I did, and I got offers for so many jobs that I definitely did not feel qualified for. And I think it just shows that you can do things. It is your mind that limits you sometimes. And there are probably people less qualified than you that are going to be applying, or people who drop out, or maybe don't even turn up to the interview. If there is something that you are interested in, it is always worth applying. And with some job interviews, job application sort of descriptions, they will say maybe what they want, but not necessarily what they need. And it's okay if you don't actually have all of the skills, because you can use that as a learning opportunity and say, actually, that's something I want to develop. And then a piece of self-advice is that you are only limited by yourself. When I was doing my BTEC in animal management, I had people messaging me saying, that's amazing, I want to work with animals. And it's like, You can. I just did it on a whim, really. So you can do absolutely anything you put your mind to. If you want to travel the world, if you want to become a conservationist or a vet or absolutely whatever, you can do that. And I think an apprenticeship is a great way to sort of trial and see if you can do that and if you like that sort of industry.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Really great answers throughout there. And again, thank you for the presentation. Just a reminder to those that are watching is that all of the resources that Chloe signposted will be available in the video description. So please do take the time to have a look. Lots of useful tools there and further information. And also finally, please also take the time to look at the other videos in this webinar series. Thank you very much, Chloe, once again, and
thank you.
Bye.